The following is a slightly modified version of Brennan Cooney's words on abstract labor, adapted to be spoken. The link to the original text will be in the description. The following video of this series discusses the relation between Marx's concrete abstract labor argument and the particular universal argument that he makes in the value form section of Chapter 1 of Capital. This section would not necessarily be so crucial to include here were it not for the great deal of misreading on this topic that one finds in secondary literature. The argument Marx makes about the difference between particular expressions of value and universal expressions of value is often conflated with Marx's argument about concrete and abstract labor. This section endeavors to make a few constructive points that may help the reader find clarity about the relation of the value form to abstract labor. In the value form section of Chapter 1 of Capital, Marx endeavors to explain how the abstract labor objectified in a commodity expresses itself in exchange value. It may be helpful to remember that abstract labor is an activity that workers do, that it is objectified in commodities as the substance of their intrinsic value, and that this value must be expressed in exchange value. While any commodity can express the value of any other commodity through a simple equation, A equals B, Marx shows how this process results in one commodity becoming the universally recognized expression of value for all other commodities. This is the money commodity. Money is the universal equivalent. Commodities have a natural form and a value form. The natural form is the physical body of the commodity itself. The form of value, or the value form, refers to the form taken by the intrinsic value of the commodities when this intrinsic value, this abstract labor time, is expressed in the physical form of another commodity. This happens whenever we equate one commodity with another. Any commodity can be the value form of any other commodity. Linen can be the value form of coats, sweet peas can be the value form of linen, bicycles can be the value form of sweet peas, and so on, and an endless series of expressions of this simple form of value. It is easy to imagine the difficulties that would arise if a society were to attempt to organize commodity production and exchange only using this method of valuing commodities. When each commodity measures its value in a different commodity, there is no one commodity that can stand as a universal expression of the abstract labor embodied in commodities. The abstract labor in coats is expressed in the particular form of linen, in the physical body of the linen. The abstract labor in sweet peas is expressed in the particular physical body of bicycles. Though these commodities are all commensurable because they embody abstract labor, no one commodity serves as a universal measure of abstract labor. Instead, we just have a series of particular expressions of value, each in the form of a different use value, corresponding to a particular concrete labor. The defects of the simple form of value lead to the emergence of the money form of value. When money stands as the general equivalent of all commodities, it becomes a universally recognized expression of abstract labor. Abstract labor is expressed in a universal form, as general social labor. Rather than abstract labor being expressed in this or that particular use value, it is expressed in one commodity. This move from the particular to the universal is an important theme in Marx's discussion of the value form. Marx's argument about money becoming the universal expression of value is sometimes conflated or confused with Marx's argument about concrete and abstract labor. Since the abstract labor in commodities cannot be expressed as a universal social labor until it is expressed in money, this has caused some readers to believe that it is the exchange of commodities for money that retroactively turns the labor embodied in the commodity into abstract labor. In this reading, the labor of coat makers remains concrete until the coat is exchanged for money. The act of exchanging the coat for money makes the labor that has been expended on it abstract. This line of thinking has spawned a sprawling body of thought, loosely lumped together under the moniker value form approach. The Soviet economist Isaac Rubin is generally considered the intellectual originator of this line of thinking. The value form approach has some key differences with the value form argument that Marx makes in Capital. It is not hard to see where this confusion might creep in. For instance, when discussing the defects of the simple form of value, Marx says, the specific, concrete, useful kinds of labor contained in each commodity equivalent is only a particular kind of labor, and therefore not an exhaustive form of appearance of human labor in general. A sentence like this seems to equate particular and concrete labor, so that each person's particular, private labor remains concrete even in the simple form of value, only becoming universal and abstract in the money form, where particular labors are equated with the universal symbol of labor in general. However, a closer reading might catch the crucial phrase, form of appearance, in the aforementioned sentence. These three words make all of the difference. They clue us into the fact that Marx is not discussing a process of concrete labor becoming abstract labor. Rather, he is discussing the inadequacy of the simple form of value as an expression of a form of appearance of value. Value must be expressed. It must appear. The form of its appearance depends on what the commodity is equated with. If the coats are equated with linen, then coats have a particular expression of value in the form of linen. If coats are equated with money, then coats express their value in a universal form, money. This ability to express value in a particular or universal form is only possible because all commodities are already products of abstract labor, already contain intrinsic value, and are thus commensurable. The value form approach, on the contrary, leads us to the conclusion that labor is solely concrete before commodity exchange, and that therefore value doesn't exist until exchange happens. The value form approach is often referred to as a circulationist approach, since it applies that value arises in circulation rather than production. This eliminates the concept of intrinsic value, so crucial to Marx's value theory. Marx developed his explanation of the value form very carefully in order to counter the popular theories of Proudhon and his anarchist mutualist followers who blamed money for distorting the natural laws of commodity production. Marx wanted to show that money, the universal equivalent, was just a developed form of the simple form of value, and that the form of value was an expression of the intrinsic value already existing in commodities. When Rubin and the so-called value form school argue that labor is rendered abstract in exchange, and that therefore value is created in exchange, they undo Marx's value form argument against Proudhon. Capitalism is given its distinctive form by exchange, and not by commodity production. This point of view produces a politics which focuses on eliminating markets with planning rather than eliminating the capitalist mode of production. Marx's view suggests a much more radical vision in which we are challenged to create a society in which work is not an alienated abstraction.